One Zambia, one nation. Good evening and welcome to the main news at 18 hours on TV2. To present it, I'm Mutukwa Moya. The headlines. Vice President Inonge Wina says preliminary investigations on the sporadic cause of the fire that affected some markets in the country in the recent past show that they were politically motivated. Still in the news, retail prices of petroleum products have been increased by between 2 kwacha and 3 kwacha effective midnight tonight. And Lands Minister Jean Kapata has reiterated her warning that anyone illegally selling land will be prosecuted. Thank you so much for joining us on now the 18 hours news in detail. Vice President Inonge Wina says preliminary investigations on the sporadic cause of the fire that affected some markets in the country in the recent past show that they were politically motivated. Mrs. Wina says although investigations in the matter are still underway, government is sad that difference in opinion can lead to destruction of property. Mrs. Wina said this during the Vice President's 30 minutes questions time in Parliament. We have more in this report.
Vice President Inonge Wina has given government's position on various governance issues. Mrs. Wina, as leader of government business in Parliament, responded to questions from members of Parliament during the Vice President's 30 minutes question time. The Vice President spoke on the forthcoming National Day of Prayer and Reconciliation and also operations of the police.
On Tuesday 18th, will be a day for national prayers and reconciliation. Now, this year's day comes at a time where there is so much police brutality. What are you saying?
Mr. Speaker, I have said before that the head of state of this country does not order the police to beat up fellow politicians. That is not done, and he has never engaged himself in such an exercise. As for the issue of the 18th of October, this gives us an opportunity as leaders to come together. This gives us an opportunity as leaders to dialogue over these misunderstandings that seem to divide us and divide the country as well.
Mrs. Wina also apologized to Komboni radio journalist Lesa Nyirenda for being victimized by the police.
When I collected more information on the incidents, I found that indeed the police overdid their work. And I do apologize to Mrs. Nyirenda for what she went through, and it was not necessary.
The Vice President and the Speaker of the National Assembly, Patrick Mativini, further provided guidance on the Constitutional Court judgment regarding former ministers who continued in office after the dissolution of Parliament.
I would like to find out from Her Honor, the Vice President, when her government and her colleagues are going to pay back to the people of Zambia the money they got out of their constitutional continuance in office.
Honorable Mr. Speaker, the question verges on sub judice because we are all aware that this case is still before the courts of law. I thank you, sir.
If you've been following events in the press, the Attorney General has gone back to the Constitutional Court. He has gone back to reopen the matter. That is the position.
Members of Parliament always have pressing issues needing clarification, but the Vice President only has 30 minutes, leaving most parliamentarians looking forward to another session of the Vice President's question time. Jeff Banda, ZNBC News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Parliament has ratified the appointment of Lillian Siuni as Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. Ms. Siuni replaces fired DPP Mutembo Nchito, who was earlier suspended after recommendation by the Anne Osilungwe Tribunal tasked to probe alleged professional misconduct against him. The motion for ratification was moved by PF Kabwe Central Member of Parliament, Tutu Ngulube, who said Ms. Siuni was qualified and has enough experience to hold the office of the DPP. Mr. Ngulube said Ms. Siuni has a distinguished career spanning 20 years. The motion was supported by UPND Chilanga MP Keith Mukata and Eastern Province Minister Makebi Zulu. And Justice Minister Given Lubinda said government will continue with the program to decentralize the office of the DPP. Mr. Lubinda said this is among key measures to help expedite the dispensation of justice. The Millennium Challenge Account MCA Zambia projects have created 1,000 new jobs. These are both skilled and non-skilled jobs. This is through the various projects which include the urban water supply and sanitation in Lusaka. Take a look in this report.
Over. However, the Zambian government has prioritized employment creation and adding value to the already existing jobs. This has been done by coming up with a minimum wage and abolishment of casualization. The various projects being implemented by government has helped in the creation of more jobs. One such project is a Millennium Challenge water supply, sanitation and drainage project. In this project, 1,000 new jobs have been created.
I am proud to mention that in the water supply, sanitation and drainage sectors, we have encouraged our contractors to employ locals, especially where the footprint of the works are, so that we are encouraging employment of labor-intensive locals, so that these locals benefit from the proceeds of the infrastructure development that is going on in these areas. As of today, I can proudly confirm that we've done extremely well in terms of employing locals on our contracts. We have hit over 1,000, just above 1,000 people, individuals that have been employed from the communities, and this includes non-skilled labor as well as skilled labor.
And those who have been employed during this project have commended government.
Ndio mpaka winonava umekoza paso ninsambilira kofia kapente ponsha ishive ninsambilira kofia busti ufixa ero busuma nsangire pona kwata kamwana ni usingomaza so ndenga fulisha go kasta support kamwana kwa kuskuru kasira kofia nsofo ndefu he busuma nasanga mu munchitwe
awe natsanga mu busuma pantu tulesunga kona ma families yesu oyo tuletote na ma president pantu batupera kone nchituna ifufwe bana kashi
famanje unkhalika katoka sinthaku tapeza kwa ntchito tumawana kuskulu ndama zarendi tipeza pamene umu so sitiziwa lingo la government na company amene ngati asira project ka zikasira pamene apa sitiziwa
mu ntchito iyi napeza mobuyo nakuti ni stranded vana school sinenzo opereka so after ntchito employee kuli ntchito ya drainage napeza inathandizika so ningapempha government amene tinayo amene ipitirize.
Once the Millennium Challenge project is completed, Lusaka will never be the same. Taufista Lungu, TV2 News in Lusaka.
Lands Minister Jean Kapata has reiterated her warning that anyone illegally selling land will be prosecuted. Ms. Kapata also says her ministry will undertake a land audit, particularly for Lusaka City, which she says no longer has land for allocation. She has explained that it is saddening that illegal land allocation and sale has become rampant. However, her ministry is seriously addressing this issue. The minister was speaking today in an interview in Lusaka.
Take this opportunity to warn anybody that is illegally involved in land that the law will visit them. And also to call upon people, the owners of the land, when you are given land by the Minister of Lands or by the local authority, wherever you are, it's best that people start developing their land immediately. Because if you leave land idle for too long, you find that cadres and scrupulous people will come in and illegally allocate that land to another person. We want to do also land audit so that we know how much land do we have. Here, particularly speaking for Lusaka. Lusaka doesn't even have land. And people continue encroaching on people's properties. We want to bring this thing to an end.
Retail prices of petroleum products have been increased by between 2 kwacha and 3 kwacha effective midnight tonight. Petrol will now cost 13 kwacha 70 ngwe per litre. Diesel will now cost 11 kwacha 40 ngwe, and kerosene will cost 8 kwacha 30 ngwe respectively. Energy Regulation Board ERB Board Vice Chairperson Francis Yamba has announced the new pump prices. Speaking in Lusaka today, Mr. Yamba has explained that the increase is because of the removal of government subsidies on fuel. This is TV2 Main News at 18 hours. After the break, TIZ calls for the prosecution of public officers behind financial irregularities cited in the Auditor General's report. Plus more news, keep watching TV2. Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, has demanded for the immediate arrests and dismissal of all government officials cited for all forms of irregularities in the 2015 audit report. TIZ Executive Director Goodwill Lungu says his institution is worried that the country has continued to lose huge sums of money at the expense of incompetent public officers. Mr. Lungu has wondered how government lost more than 250 million kwacha in 2015. He has called on law enforcement agencies to quickly identify all the culprits and have them arrested because the alleged cases can be easily prosecuted. And Zambia National Students Union, ZNASU, is disappointed with the revelations in the Auditor's General reports, saying that they do not yield any results. Outgoing ZNASU Vice President Prince Ndoi says it is disheartening that the audit reports have continued its signaling lack of transparency and accountability, especially among government officials, yet none of them has been punished. Lusaka Province Minister Japhet Mwakalombe has pledged to ensure that the Keep Lusaka Clean agenda does not die out. Speaking at a meeting, Mr. Mwakalombe says there are several strategies that he will devise in order to ensure that that the Central Business District in particular is clean. Here is a report.
It's business as usual at the Central Business District. The streets are busy, trade is open, and money is exchanging hands by the second. But there is one thing that many people who patronize this place agree on. The face of the Central Business District from afar may look pretty, but the close-up is ugly.
I mean, that's why we have the local government. If they can help us with the local government, the council, they can come in by collecting garbage maybe 2 or 3 times in a week, using the check parks as toiletries. Can you say Lusaka is clean? In my opinion, it's not clean. Not clean. Not only in my opinion, even in my view, it's not clean.
Lusaka Province Minister Japhet Mwakalombe echoed these words at a meeting with stakeholders. He has devised several plans to improve the city's face.
There has been numerous complaints from our citizens, from our people in Lusaka Province that our CBD is dead. One of the solutions is to see that all the street vendors, all those who are called street vendors, we move them to the alley. Before we move them to the alley, we have a program with His Worship the Mayor and the DC to go on the street to reason with our colleagues and make them appreciate that in the alleys they will make good business.
Several efforts have been made to keep Lusaka clean. The campaign has been re-energized a few times, with its vigor fizzling out at some point. The question this time around is, will the results be long-lasting? Penelope Sikazwe, TV2 News, Lusaka.
National House of Prayer Board Chairperson Bishop Joshua Banda says all is set for the day of national prayers scheduled for Tuesday, October 18, 2016. This year's theme is promoting reconciliation and healing, promoting unity in diversity. Bishop Banda, who is also North Mid Assemblies of God Church pastor, says the prayers will therefore center around the theme. He was speaking today on TV2's Morning Live program.
The Bible is very clear on addressing us as individuals and obligating us to do something about our relationships when they do not seem to be where they need to be. At this time, therefore, we must focus on reconciliation. We must promote healing. We must be able, at the same time, to celebrate our unity in diversity. Much more than ever, there's been this pronouncement of our regional divide, and that should not be the case. Zambia is endowed with this diversity. Our 72, 73 tribes are really a gift for us to celebrate how creative God has been in making us so different, and yet we are one family. Right. So, but if that is not harnessed, the seeming divisions and the different opinions, the polarization that may have come as a result of different viewpoints, different approaches, different political affiliations, could actually steepen that divide.
The Ndola High Court has thrown out the election petition filed by the opposition UPND disputing the election of Evans Chibanda as PF Mufulira constituency Member of Parliament. High Court Judge Edward Musona has rejected the petition on grounds that the appeal by the petitioner was filed late before the courts of law. In this matter, losing UPND Mufulira constituency candidate Elijah Viete had petitioned the election of Mr. Chibanda in the August 11th general election. Mr. Viete had contended that the Mufulira constituency parliamentary election was allegedly marred by malpractices. In his ruling, Judge Musona said the losing UPND candidate should have filed the petition within 14 days after Mr. Chibanda was declared winner by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. We'll now take another break, and coming up is foreign and sports news. Keep watching TV2, the pulse of television. And now the rest of the news. We start with foreign. The people of Thailand are mourning the death of King Bhumibol Adulyadej, the world's longest reigning monarch, who died on Thursday, aged 88. Thousands clad in black lined the streets of Bangkok for the king's funeral procession as his body moved to a temple in the Grand Palace. The government has declared a year-long official mourning period. Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn is expected to be the new monarch, but has asked for a delay in succession. And out of sports, where all is set for tomorrow's 2016 Barclays Cup semi-final doubleheader set for Arthur Davis Stadium in Kitwe. League leader Zanaco clash with Nkana in the early kickoff at 13 hours, while Zesco United takes on Power in the second match at 15 hours. Chiko Mkoka gives us more in the following report.
The dice is cast for the country's only cup competition as it enters the semi-final stage. Top 4 teams in the Super League test their supremacy when they clash on Saturday in the Barclays Cup in Kitwe. Zesco United, Power Dynamos, Nkana and league leaders Zanaco are all fighting for a place in the final. For Zanaco, they are the only side in the last 4 from Midlands and yearning for a double.
Well, the team has prepared very well and looking forward for the game. The morale is high. The game which we played, Red Arrows, gave us the impetus for us to look forward to the game which we are going to play in Ghana. We're going to approach the game like we approached the first league game when we played here, when we beat them 2-0. Yeah, so everyone, you know, it's a grudge game. They beat us 4-2 at their home ground, so it's a revenge game. The team is injury-free. Everyone is okay.
Power Dynamos, who are almost giving up on their title hopes after a scoreless draw against Division 1-bound Mufulira Blackpool in midweek, know what is at stake when they face Ndola Dance Zesco United, despite having home ground advantage. With a backlog of games in the Super League, Zesco United will have to rely on the CAF Champions League experience. The finals will be played next month. Chikom Koka for TV2 Sports News in Lusaka.
We've come to the end of the main news at 18 hours, but before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. Vice President Inonge Wina says preliminary investigations on the sporadic cause of the fire that affected some markets in the country in the recent past show that they were politically motivated. Mrs. Wina says although investigations in the matter are still underway, government is sad that difference in opinion can lead to destruction of property. retail prices of petroleum products have been increased by between 2 kwacha and 3 kwacha effective midnight tonight. Petrol will now cost 13 kwacha 17 ngwe per litre, diesel will cost 11 kwacha 14 ngwe, and kerosene will cost 8 kwacha 13 ngwe respectively. And finally, Land Minister Jean Kapata has reiterated her warning that anyone illegally selling land will be prosecuted. Ms. Kapata also says her ministry will undertake a land audit, particularly for Lusaka City, which she says no longer has land for allocation. Join us for another detailed bulletin, if you can, at 20 hours right here on TV2, the powers of television. This is Mutukwa Moya. Good evening and continue watching TV2.